And boom, we are live. Another episode of AlphaCast. I'm Mike Winner, and I'm here, of course, with Dr. Bear Paul Lando from Alfa Vedic. We have an amazing guest today, Philipp von Holzendorff. Originally from Germany, Philipp is a conscious entrepreneur, alternative health ambassador, and energy healer in parallel to a successful international business career. He has worked through blockages and barriers that prevented him to truly connect with his true self. His main business focus is on Leela Labs, manufacturer of C60 oils, and state-of-the-art C60 nature cosmetics products. Philips is the U.S. distributor for the amazing Swiss quantum technology 9010. And today we're going to dive deep into 9010, which is a new technology that's really just hitting the scene as we speak, and something for me personally kind of floored me last night as I really started to go down these rabbit holes. This is something that with Alfa Vedic, we're all about kind of connecting new technologies with spirituality, with energetics, with electrical universe concepts, but really spirit meets science is what we're all about. And I can't think of a product or a technology that really encapsulates this more than 9010. How are you today, Philipp?
Thank you very much for the introduction and having me here. I'm glad to be here and I'm doing fine.
Well, hey, it's great to have you. And how are you today, Dr. Bear Paul Lando?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for asking. That's very kind of you, Michael. Philipp, wonderful to have you here. And we've had some phone conversations and a lot of communications over the last few weeks, and with a lot of interesting things, everything from C60 to 9010. And I'm really anxious to see how we can all be part of 9010. And I know you're traveling and on the run here, and you're very generously making time with us. So thanks. And with the time we do have, I just want to hear everything you have to tell us about this technology, because I think it's something that I've been waiting for a long time.
Sounds great. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe the quick intro really is that it's time for it. You know, it really is the time. And, you know, in universe, there's always a time and a place for everything. And while on one hand, we have all these difficult things going on in the world and people tend to get drawn into this, right? You know, coronavirus and a lot of other like bad things. But at the same time, it's like the scissor effect, you know, where when negative things happen, positive things happen at the very same time. And so I think we can really focus on this positive, and it's such an amazing time we live in. And part of that is really, you know, C60, you know, that has really come to the surface here a few years ago, and now it's really 9010, which is kind of the next level for me. Even when, and with both things, the way I was introduced was almost randomly. You know, there is no random really, because everything is meant to be. But when I heard C60 randomly at some point many years ago, my whole system was suddenly so aware, and I knew like I had to dig into this. Like, this is so important, and I have a role in this. And that's how it came about. And that's how I ended up actually being in the C60 business and taking C60 and advocating for it. It started to drive awareness for this. And with 9010, it was the same thing. Someone had asked me in Europe, I'm from Germany originally, hey, you know, have you heard about this? And this 9010, and it immediately all the bells rang, and I was like so alert, and I knew there's something to it. I literally knew it. So I tried to dig into that. I bought a couple of these products because I was a little skeptic about what I had read about it, because it sounded so fascinating and amazing. And now fast forward, now I can tell looking back, I mean, it's been an amazing journey. And it's just an absolutely fascinating technology. We can dive into that. It's from Switzerland. It's the founder who actually invented this technology. He worked on it for 9 years, and then several years back, he basically finished these products, but he kept exploring until there was no more to explore. And it's very fascinating. So what is 9010? First of all, I think it's really 90.10. And what does that even mean? What does that stand for? And that's maybe a good quick intro. It means 90% of the profits for the 90-10 community, or used as the 90-10 community wants it, and 10% to actually continue to develop the business once the company makes profit. And that he named the company like that because that's what he wants. He invented a technology that can create a quantum energy field in a cube. And when you put objects in it, you can permanently burn or charge or load these objects with quantum energy, so that they then radiate, these objects radiate this quantum energy. I'll give you an example. You take a plate and put it in for 3 hours, then the plate's structure will have changed after these 3 hours, and it will contain quantum energy. And if you put it on your table, it will radiate this quantum energy. And even if you put then your fruits on it, or your soup or whatever, that gets energized by this energy. And it's a very noticeable energy. And I love what you said about spirituality meets science, because this is really the place of 90-10 where that meets. So you can not only charge objects with quantum energy in these so-called cubes, you can also copy any and all frequencies that you want in any object that you want, as long as it fits in the cube. And if it doesn't fit, there are even mechanisms to kind of enlarge the distance, so you can fit larger objects into that. And then, if you just have a cube sitting at home, what it does, it actually provides a harmonizing quantum energy field, and which is about 130 feet radius. No, not radius, as diameter. That's the right English word. And what it does, it harmonizes negative frequencies. So Wi-Fi, EMF, what we're all talking about, what we all know is it has a negative and detrimental impact on the body, or can have that at least. It transforms these into positive frequencies. And so that is the actual technology. So in the old business world, if you had invented such a technology, which no one else has and can do such amazing things, you would lock that up behind the doors. You would make your products, sell those, and make everybody dependent on you, right? And the inventor of 90-10 is the absolute opposite. He wants to make this available to as many people in the world as possible. And so he's selling the actual technology and offering it. This technology is not cheap, obviously, but there are also products that are available, and that's also kind of how most people start to get, to try to understand this energy. They're like little power capsules that 90-10 has created, and I can actually maybe show that here so people.
That'd be cool.
Know. So this is the little nice bag in which they come, and so this is a new package basically. And so it's like this little, it looks like a keychain holder, like this. And you can open this. So see, that's empty. And so this is not charged with quantum energy, but it's charged with 3 essential frequency compositions that 90-10 created over time. One is it contains the frequencies of the 10 most famous healing waters of the world. Like, for example, Lourdes in France is, I think, one that a lot of people have heard of. It contains the so-called Tesla frequency, which has beneficial benefits in regards to EMF. And then the so-called 84 frequency. 84 is comprised of the frequencies of the most essential vitamins and minerals, trace minerals for the body. And so these frequencies are in here. And then you see this, these are 5 titanium spheres. And these are charged with quantum energy. And these specific ones I'm holding here actually have quite some quantum energy comprised in them. And you then take them out of this little bag and put them in the capsule, and then you just do this, and then you have this. So I have the frequencies, and then the spheres, the quantum energy of the spheres boost these frequencies out, so that basically about a 30 to 40 centimeters, that's maybe like this roughly, it can go that deep with a very, very strong energy field into the body or wherever you hold it. And so now you're maybe like, oh, this sounds all awesome, but does this really work? Yes, it does work. Most, there's still, most people in the world don't really sense so much, and they can't see energy. People that see energy, have worked with energy, all of them like instantly know what this is, and they hold it in their hands and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. But even if you don't sense it, you can do the test, because it eliminates radioactivity out of water or out of other beverages or food. Mushrooms, we know that in today's world, actually, you cannot buy a water anymore, not even a Coca-Cola anywhere, that has no radioactivity in it. It's a fact, unless you go really deep and you get water out of like a 150, 250 meter deep in the ground that had been there for the last 150 years, then you could find water that has no radioactivity. Other than that, it always does. And it's detrimental to the body. And you will know that, Bear. So the head of the German Institute for Radioactivity in Munich, he just recently retired. He said that it's proven that in 100% of the cases where a particle of cesium-137, gets in contact with the human cell, always a cancer cell emerges, always, in 100% of the cases. And that doesn't mean that we always develop cancer, obviously, because we have an immune system, we have other frequencies we work with and all of that. But it shows you like how bad radioactivity really is. And it's not being talked about a lot, actually, which is,
there's 2 points. There's background radiation, and then there's actual radioactive particles. That was like the big Fukushima thing that people didn't understand, is that the governments would be measuring the background radiation, saying it's not increasing, but meanwhile we have particulates that were released by that disaster, where if you inhale some of those particulates, then that leads to what you're talking about. So that's an important distinction. There's the thing, you go flying, you go fly in an airplane, you have radioactive exposure. Well, no, that's a background active exposure. And that's been on the planet since the dawn of the creation of the planet. We have that. But in terms of this particulates, of the actual like cesium, as you're saying, that's where I think that was the big thing that drew me to this last night when I was doing the research on this. And you can get into this water. You did it yourself, right? Maybe go into that with a study of your tap water with the radioactive particulates and what it did, because that to me is just groundbreaking.
Yes, indeed. And so, and it works every time, by the way. So, so now we have something where, so it takes 30 years. So the cesium, just cesium-137, not, ignoring the other radioactivity particles for now, just takes 30 years until it's half. So let's say you have a level of 40 becquerel of cesium in your water that you measure. Then it would take 30 years until it's at 20. Takes again 30 years until it's at 10, and again 30 until it's at 5, and so on and so on. So you basically don't really ever get it to zero. And that's also one of the reasons why when there's a nuclear accident, it's just so bad, because that stuff doesn't go away, just like that. So now you have something where mainstream science tells you it's impossible to take it to zero.
Yeah.
And now you have this technology. If you hold this next to a glass of water just for 30 minutes, cesium will be at zero. That's zero insane. In 30 minutes, and it's actually below the background radiation. And to my knowledge, the background radiation has increased. And so it's actually really literally at zero. So people cannot detect it anymore. And it works every time. This has been tested hundreds and hundreds of times. And so, but I still wanted to do the test myself. I'm like, hey, this is great and I can feel the energy and all that, but I want to know what happens in our home. So we live close to Santa Fe in New Mexico, and we have our own well. So we tested our well water and actually came back with quite some significant levels of alpha and beta radioactivity levels. And it was very, very noticeable. And actually one of them, I think the alpha was even above the threshold that they determine as like bad. And I think it's already bad much before that, because I don't think they want to freak people out about radioactivity. But yeah, so that's how it came back. And then what I did is I took the same water and put it in this 9010 water bottle, which is another product which contains the very same frequencies as this capsule, which I put away now here. And it also contains quantum energy. And you can do the same thing. It's just more convenient. You can put just water in it and leave it there for 30 minutes.
Oh, cool.
And then after that, I poured it in this test kit and sent it in as well. And then it came back as they couldn't detect it. Tested, not detected. No alpha, no beta radioactivity. It was all gone. It was all gone.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean,
so what do they do with the water bottle? Do they use your other, some of the products I know you're going to talk about to just burn those frequencies into the water bottle itself?
Yes, exactly. So, and they use their own technology, which they also, as I said initially, make available to the people. So whoever is interested in that can do that, because they don't want to keep anything for themselves, right? They just don't want to. And so basically what you do is you would take a cube, you put this water bottle in there, burn it, you transfer the frequencies in it, which is just a process of like 10, 15 minutes. But then the burning the quantum energy in it takes much longer. So that's about a 3-hour process. And burning is not like, don't envision that there's like a fire or something. It's more really like a copy and paste, or like a charging, if you will.
Like CD burning. When you burn a CD.
So
yeah.
So Philip, I don't want to interrupt, but can you just say a few words about the originator of this technology and the kind of maybe facility technology they have behind them where they can actually develop these things and how they do it?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think I can talk about details really in how exactly they do it, but I mean, he really worked on this for many, many years. And when he found out how to do it, and it's mathematically, it needs to be extremely accurate. He leverages aluminum modules, and he leverages magnets and a certain distance. And I can actually show one of those just in a second here, just so you have an idea on how it looks like. But when he developed this cube that creates this quantum energy field inside, Lily, and you can burn all these products and copy these frequencies, he said, like, okay, this is great, but what if at some point I want a stronger quantum energy field? How do I do that? And then he kept exploring. And at some point he arrived at, okay, I can do that. Now I know how to do it, but I don't want people to come to me and then every year they buy an upgrade from me. I just want to give them the opportunity to upgrade themselves infinitely if they want to. And so he created the so-called Forever Freedom Pack. And I got like these goosebumps when he was talking to me the first time and telling me about this moment where he had invented that Forever Freedom Pack, because he was like, at that point, there was nothing more to explore. There was nothing more to research. There was no more for me to be done. My work was done. Suddenly, I had nothing more to do. And now I'm just thinking about, okay, how can I tell people about it and make it available? And so what it is, the Forever Freedom Pack. So I show you one of these cubes here real quick. So you see, like, this is an acrylic stand, and it has these cross plates modules on it. So the original cube has the same size of the acrylic stand, but it has only one set of modules like these, 6 modules on the top and 6 on the bottom. That's the original cube. And the Forever Freedom Pack consists of 2 of these cubes that I'm showing you right now, and they come unactivated though. But if you have an original cube, you can activate these cross plates yourself. And so once you activate those and then you put it together, which is super easy, then you have a cube that's 10 times stronger than the original cube. Now, then you take the second of these Forever Freedom Pack cubes and activate that in your first Forever Freedom Pack cube. And then you have one that's 2.5 times stronger. So the first one would be called the 1G cube. That's how they call it. And the second would be the 2G cube. Now, if you then want more energy at some point because you feel like you've adjusted to it, your body has become more transparent and you feel like, yes, I'm ready for the next energy level, you can take the 1G cube of those plates and put it in the 2G, and then you make the 3G cube out of that. So you can basically just upgrade yourself at all times at no cost. There's no electricity needed, by the way, as you can see again here. It's just a field that works just like this.
So these are
you don't have
just
to plug it in.
resonant fields. What does he mean by quantum here? Because we know quantum, this idea of quantum's thrown around everywhere, especially, in the alternative fields. Has he had like a more very defined idea of what this field is, or how this technology is working in terms of pulling from the ether or whatever we want to call it? Because I think that's the hardest thing for people to wrap their heads around.
So first of all, it's important to note that this is real quantum energy, because there are products out there that, there's like this magic wand, or I don't know how exactly it's called, that I've heard about. And then there's some products also in Europe where they call it quantum energy or 0-point energy, but it actually isn't the real quantum energy. It's also good energy. I'm not saying that any of these products are bad, and certainly I haven't even tested all of those, but typically those are earthbound energies. I mean, there's even a company in Europe that puts their products in like a empty whole tree for like 3 weeks, and then it has these great energies, but it is earthbound energies. So this is a big difference. So if you have these little spheres here, for example, and there's real quantum energy in each of them, you have a multiplication effect. None of these other products have that. So that means like you have then not 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 is not 5. It's actually more than 5. It's actually 5 times 2.5 or times 2.9, depending on whether this is aluminum or titanium. As that is one of the.
So I was just going to make a comment. There's a lot of confusion about quantum, and I think it's just become a generic term these days, which is fine. And this is all a matter of semantics, but quantum, I'm versed in waveform physics, and we understand things not from particulates, but, just everything that emanates from electrical waveforms. And so there's really no physicality. Now, technically speaking, quantum connotes a unit or a particulate, even though infinitely smaller than, say, an atom. But with waveform physics, you realize there are no particles, there are no particulates. So, I use quantum myself, and I hear other people use it. So just for our audience, and you correct me if you have a different idea if I'm wrong, but it's just more of a term that it's kind of the next level of tapping into, the primal energy that put us all here in the first place. So, so quantum, great term to use because I don't know what else to use. But if you want to get technical about it, we could break it down further as far as what quantum energy really is. And some people, I think, in the beginning of, like way back in the day when I was reading books like the Tao of Physics and so forth, they're talking about quantum as far as really trying to suggest there's a unit of matter that's much smaller, but that's been kind of debunked. And so now we know, okay, it really works on pure waveforms, but we still are using the same terminology. So I don't know if that's helpful at all, or if you have any different ideas about that.
I'll just say, like Max Planck, who is the father of quantum mechanics, he himself said it's consciousness. So in the end, it's consciousness. That's that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about the pure energetics of the conscious universe, of the informational fields that we call. And that makes sense with the radiation. Like, we're literally talking about informational fields here that this cube can generate that will then counteract those and neutralize them, as far as how I'm envisioning it, Philip.
And one final comment, I just jump in real quick, and sorry about that. But we talk a lot about other technologies that we use as healing modalities, and at great length we explain how these do not have any computer or electronic interface. They're standalone, like impedance antennas, and it's important not to have something that you plug into the wall, because that's going to negate the ability to operate on that refined level. So that's why I'm really happy to see the 910 unit, which is much bigger than I imagined it, because I've only seen pictures of it. So it looks kind of cool. But I was very delighted to see that it's not interfacing with any dirty energy. So please, sorry for the interruption.
No, I think that was extremely helpful for the audience, actually, to give different perspectives here, because it's some things are just so hard to explain in words, and then everybody has a different level of understanding and where they're at in their lives, and they just may not understand it. So I'm adding here, dark field energy, 0 point energy, quantum energy. These are often used as synonyms, and I want to come now from a perspective of what does that mean for me, and then I hope that some of the audience can relate to what that means, how I can describe it without just a theory, but with practicality. So if you go into meditation, and you said earlier you did some Kundalini yoga. So if I do Kundalini yoga and then I do a meditation, I go deeper to the source, and I create this field that I can access, and I feel like suddenly I can create out of myself. I can tap into something, more into my knowing and all of that. And that's what it is. So in the end of the day, if you have a cube relatively close, and now this is the woo-woo stuff, this is because you can't scientifically prove this, but everybody reports that. So you then sit down in a meditation, you have that cube around, you don't have to work hard for 10 minutes in order to get to where you used to get within 10 minutes. You already start as if you were already 15 minutes into your meditation. You know what I mean? So if you hold your hand into the cube, for example, before that, you could maybe access this much here of your knowing. And if you do that, you can access that much of your knowing suddenly. So it's kind of I think I leave it at that. And I hope that maybe some people
This is the exact technology we talk about, analog technology that interfaces with our consciousness. This is the future. This is where we need to go. And that's why I was just, when I was researching this last night, I was like, this is what we've been talking about. Because if you go back to the ancient texts, the ascended masters talk about it, and even back to even Egypt and stuff with the pyramids. I mean, these are the types of technologies that are mentioned, especially pre-Atlantis and all this stuff. They mentioned how there are these cubes that resonated in energy that powered the entire city, and and it's all about tapping into the field. So maybe this is it. I mean, this is really exciting. Can you go into a little bit? There's so much I want to talk about, and I know we're short on time, but people really, in this day and age, they need the scientific aspect of the double-blind studies and stuff to really drive it home. And there is some really hard science done with this so far. And one thing with the dark field microscopy with the blood. Yes. Go into that a little bit, Philip, because they already have done some stuff showing the effects of this.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sure that you guys will provide, a couple links. And you mentioned Kay Elmer is on. Actually, I had sent the link to this podcast to Kay Elmer beforehand, because Kay Elmer has actually done an absolutely amazing job of trying to condense and summarize a lot of this information, make it available, because it's all in German. It's been all in German. We've been all working so hard in translating it. And Kay Elmer has done an amazing job. So for the English speaking community here, there's the Tinkers Academy. That's what it's called. I can maybe provide the link if you guys want to add it. But there's some great information too. But to go into this dark field microscopy now. So there have been multiple tests that they had done to actually prove what does this do to the blood, right? So they had taken a lot of patients to the doctor, and then they took the blood samples, and under dark field microscopy, these blood cells, they looked quite clogged. There's actually a lot of videos about that 9010 has. And then they gave them either a capsule or one of their 9010 cards. Those are aluminum cards, also with quantum energy and frequencies. And within just 10 minutes, the blood completely improved. And not just like by the tiny little bit that you would have to see like where it improved. No, it's just like so obvious. Like it completely improved in no time. And here's the fascinating thing, like the phone. So if you put your phone in a cube for 3 hours, you basically don't have this phone here anymore that has this negative radiation.
Wow.
I don't want to say you have a healing device in your pocket then, because certainly, there's tons of disclaimers and all of that. And I would not want to say any of this, but what they've proven is they had, again, these people that got their blood tested and it looked bad. And then they gave them a phone that was charged, a smartphone that was charged in the cube for 10 minutes. They held it for 10 minutes or was surfing on it or being on the phone with it, and their blood work improved significantly. So it had the same effect as, one of those capsules. So it is absolutely crazy what it can do. It really is.
Wow. So it's almost like grounding it or something. What do you think, Bear?
Well, I was going to make a comment about the blood test. I've used a microscope for many years with people. And if anybody doubts that informational fields will remotely affect others, like cellular structures or biology, one of the things we did many times is we'd have a patient on a treatment table, whereas prior we had drawn their blood, and then we'd put their blood on a screen, so that we could see the blood in real time. And of course, the blood was alive the way you do, we used what we call somatoscope, and which is similar to dark field. And then as we did hands-on techniques and other things that we do on patients, the way we work with people, you could actually look on the screen and see the blood changing that was, out of the body prior, but you see the blood actually changing in response to what we're doing over here on the live body. So what people have to understand, it's all about these, a seamless network of intelligence, that's interacting all the time. Even if we think the blood's out of the body and now it has no connection with the host, that's not possible, because it's all run on DNA, of course, with your little antennas, which are also holograms of other things, that we would explain in different realms of consciousness. So what I'm looking at is this 910, it doesn't stretch my imagination at all. So please go ahead.
Yeah, and I really like that you have this background that kind of how you can look at it. And 9010 always wanted to come up with tests also that people can replicate as easily as possible. So they didn't want to run a huge study, because studies can be manipulated. And also, if you look at pharmaceutical drugs and all their year-long studies and what the result is with all the side effects and what it actually does, I don't know if it's a good idea to have great studies that no one can prove what they actually did. They have no clue what they did, and they cause millions of dollars. So rather do tests that people can replicate at home. Now, frankly, the dark field microscopy, I wish I could do that at home. I don't have one of those, and most people probably don't. But, you can find practitioners like you that do, and then you can basically verify it there. And this little, water test with the radioactivity, everybody can do that. It's actually not even very expensive to get your water tested. But
just to comment about double-blind studies and everything, I like to look at those things, and there's a certain level of validity. But if anybody thinks there's any such thing as an objective test where you can remove yourself out of the equation, when you go back to the principles that you're discussing as far as how 9010 works and what I know about waveform physics, that's like contriving a situation and then pretending you're not there. It's your consciousness that created the whole thing in the first place. There's no way you can not affect the outcome of a study. There's no such thing as a 100% objective test. They have their place, but you just have to understand how they work. And in fact, if you knew all of this, then you could conduct tests according to different parameters. It would be much more valuable as far as revealing the truth.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, and so, I mean, and there have been lots of other tests. I mean, they've done tests and, actually charging wine, and then they had sommeliers in Europe actually taste the very same wine. And actually there's, I guess, 1 or 2 grape kinds where it actually doesn't impact the taste, but all the other ones, it impacts the taste in a way where the sommelier would always pick this one as the better one. and so that kind of happens with food. Like you can like do the test at home, like with a raspberry, that's what I did. We took like some berries, put them over here, same, or the same basket, and then charge them with this capsule for like, 20 minutes, and then just do the test or do the water test. We had people at home actually, and we were like, okay, let's just do the blind test. We always gave them like the 2 glasses, and they should tell us like which is the charged and the better water. And it's just like 100% in 100% of the cases, the people pick the right one. And it's just pretty fascinating. They've done a quantum entanglement test also. I mean, and 9010 isn't big at all. It's very small. And this inventor is just so amazing. And he's done most of this work on his own over the last years. So there's just so much more to explore, I think. And that's what the community is for. But they had a quantum entanglement test where they had someone that went to the doctor to get an EEG. And 2,500 miles away from that, the founder put a picture of that person in the cube. And within under a minute, the EEG completely changed and reacted. And it's just, and nothing else happened in that room where that person was 2,500 miles away. So that is fascinating. And
housekeeping.
Give me 1 second here.
Yeah. No, this all connects though. I mean, I've been really going down a lot of research in terms of remote viewing and the idea of consciousness not being obviously in our body. And that, I mean, there's been mainstream studies at Princeton and since the 80s or 90s, 2000s, showing the effects of mind over random number generators and the idea that this can be done from thousands of miles away. And I mean, parapsychology and like Dean Radin over Noetic Institute and stuff, they've been showing all this stuff. So, it's hitting the mainstream that we know they're calling it the, quantum mechanics, but either way, this is all coalescing at the perfect time. As you said, like we're seeing this control matrix tighten its grid on all these different levels right now. And so nature will always find a way. And it's just really exciting. I mean, there's just so much to talk about here. And I know we're already running up on time here. So maybe let's move to more of the products, how they work. One thing that a question is that from the peanut gallery here is, there's a number, but if feeling it depends on your own frequency, how can one adjust that to match the device?
Could you please repeat that?
Sure. If quote unquote feeling it, and this was back towards the beginning, I think when you were talking about the those little balls or whatever in the capsule. Depends on your own. You were talking about how it kind of your own frequency relates to that and where you are in terms of the energy. How can one adjust that to match the device? Like how, and I guess that's just by adding or taking away those balls. And also kind of, if this energy can be multiplied, can it get out of hand?
Well, so first of all, one thing I want to mention is that the cubes have a complete, it's just quantum energy. There's no additional frequency in it, but it has one protection formula in it, so it cannot be used for negative purposes or negative frequencies. So you could not copy like fear frequencies or any of this. So, which is, I think, a very helpful thing to at least mention. And in terms of, this little the spheres here, yes. So if it feels as too much, and it could be too much for some people. This specifically actually is not even sold publicly because these are made with a 7G cube, so that they're stronger than the original capsules. And 9010 only offers those to people that have had the regular capsule for at least like 2 weeks or so. But you could just remove one or two of those spheres and put them away, and then basically you're reducing the quantum energy level that way, and then you can up it again as you need more. So you can really dial it to your own purposes. And can it be too much? Yes, it can actually be too much. So it's not very common that it can be too much, but we had some people that with 5 of these, they would wake up early, they would have so much energy, they would detox like crazy. And that's, by the way, also been in the Telegram chat group. I mean, we've really heard these people, and then they reduced it, and then okay, now they kind of, after a day or two, they took another one, and then they got used to it. Most people don't really have these effects, so they can actually take the whole package right all at once, but then they feel it, and they wouldn't wear it at night. And yeah, that's kind of how you adjust it. So it's never like it's too much that you can't handle it or something. It's just like you're realizing, oh my God, okay, I'm detoxing maybe too strongly, or my energy level is too high, so now I'm reducing a little bit. But the same thing is true then once your body adjusts to this energy more, the spiritual journey is all about, getting closer to who you truly are and becoming more transparent in a way. So now as this supports you, at some point, the energy level that was great for you a year ago may not be the right energy level for today anymore. So you actually want to then try to push the envelope again a little bit, and then you can up it yourself.
So we're going to get to the point where we literally are reading each other's minds and levitating and flying around with this stuff. I mean,
well,
go ahead.
Energy intelligence is interactive, and when you're looking at this level of refinement, you can have this sort of device, and it's never going to blow somebody off the water, out of the water, or push them over the edge, because we all have our own preset threshold, and it might push you a little bit where you feel the effects, but it can't really be harmful if you understand how things like this work. It can only kind of push you to your limits, but not beyond them. That's my experience with similar kinds of technologies and techniques.
Yes, I agree with that. And so the one thing, so we focus a lot on like body and, that you can detox and stuff like that, but also like on a deeper level, like on an emotional level, topics can come up, right? So if you have a cube new, or you upgrade your cube the first time, it could really be that the first 2-3 days, there's maybe some blockage within you that relates to something old that happened in your childhood or in a past life, or whatever it may be, right? And it may come to the surface, and then you may get through it that way. That similar to what would happen if you just constantly meditate. At some point, I mean, you arrive at things that come up, and you just try to have them come up and release them, right? That's how you become more free. And this kind of supports and stimulates that a little bit.
Yeah, could you imagine, we talk about this in the future with real, if we got out of the current control system and we had actual real holistically informed and based societies where you're walking around in city centers, where you walk into these cubes for a quick cleansing of the day on your lunch break, right? Where you come through and you're like, oh, okay, I'm ready to go, instead of having a 5-hour energy drink or whatever, a Red Bull,
Great idea, actually. So and so this brings me also to the point to mention that this is not just some product, it's actually a key technology. And that's, what people initially often don't really understand, but as they start thinking about it and exploring this, they realize what a key technology that really is, because it can impact any product.
Yeah, it's like the internet, or like I'm a crypto blockchain developer, so same idea. These revolutionary types of technologies that will interface with all types of industry, all verticals. Go into the cube a bit more. Like they show the video where they can put anything in the cube that fits, like your shoes, or and how that will interface. I mean, Nike. Imagine that, like Nike coming out with their own shoes using this technology or something.
Yeah, and so shoes are actually very specific. So that's the only product that we found where the quantum energy disappears already after about 24 hours. And the way we've explored it and researched it is it's because of the earth energy, and because the quantum energy is not a movement energy, and but you're constantly moving these feet. And it's also because of the material. So actually it's absolutely amazing if you put your shoes in there, and I've done it many times, and then it's not really, you can't walk on clouds, but this term of like, it feels like you're walking on clouds a little bit. That's really what it is. So and as you have all these nerve endings in your feet, right? And that about the acupressure that you can do there at all these points. So if you have that energy there, it's just a very, very special feeling. And but yeah, you would have to constantly then recharge your shoes. And for that 90-10, actually the founder, he found out that it's kind of bothers him that he has to put his shoes in the cube like every day to have charged cubes. So now he's invented these soles that where you could just put your shoes on overnight and then they'll be charged. This product is not available yet.
Wow.
It's a prototype, but it's kind of cool. And you can put anything in it. I charge my watch in it, for example. All of our plates and glasses I've put in there, and every time
your dinner plates.
Yeah. So and you will. I mean, again, then it's like the 90% probably maybe can't see it because it just looks like a plate. But no, as you can see a little bit more of energy, I mean, you see it. It's like as if there's a vibration in there suddenly that is wonderful. And you can hold these two plates and you know which one was in the cube and which wasn't.
This is so trippy. So yeah, obviously, I was just going to say, in terms of putting stuff in, with the shoes idea, I'm a trail runner and I love running. So have you done the shoes thing? Do you feel like a difference as far as your walking and energetics? I mean, imagine track and field, this could change so much. I mean, sports and everything. It's just...
Yes. I mean, so we now know that if you have a product, any product that you hold or have close to your body that is charged with this, what it does to your blood. So the same thing would apply to your shoes. You could, we haven't specifically tested this one with the dark field microscopy, but from everything we've tested, the results should be the same, and we should maybe do that. Maybe we could even do that together. But so that would be already one great effect, right? That you're constantly being charged. But it's indeed a feeling of well-being, of like strength, of focus, of more energy that you're getting, and you can feel that. I have these house shoes that I like to run around with in the winter in the house, and I put those in every night because it's just it just feels better. And yeah, so these things you can do with the cube, and you can put food in there, of course, right? And you get it back to the more original structure and the more original flavor, whatever you put in there. And there's not real limits to it. So we have this water tank at home. It's a water filter. It's a reverse of osmosis water filter, and it has this tank. It's like, I don't know, like 3 gallons or 4 gallons or something like this, and it filters out all these bacteria and all of that. But still, radioactivity isn't filtered, right? Because nothing can filter that out. So now I put 4 of these original power capsules around it. So 1 here on kind of like the north side, and 2 here, and then 1 here. So it's like on each side there's 1. And now just on its own, I drink this water, which is perfectly clean, no bacteria in it, and it has 0 radioactivity in it. And then if I go somewhere, I'm traveling, I always have this water bottle with me because it's so convenient. But then, there's so much more. And so they've created these little aluminum cards with frequencies. And so they have a few frequencies that they created that I already mentioned that are part of the bottle and the capsules. But then there's another one, which is super amazing. It's called the holiday card. It was actually, at some point they called it the panic card. And because it was originally designed and intended to be for anything in relation to panic attacks, anxiety, stress, fear, such situations. And so it took them quite some time to get this frequency composition done. And then they tested it and researched it. And then they were ready to release it. And the way they do that is then they give it to the community. And if it has an over 90% satisfaction rate, so that the community reports back, yeah, this is amazing, it really works, we love it, and all of that, then they actually add it to their portfolio and actually offer it. So all these frequency cards you have gone through this field testing, if you will, and that is one that I found amazing. And I gave it to our son when he went to school and had a test, for example, and it's.
So the frequency thing, can you grab a frequency from another human too? Like, can I get the Michael Jordan card?
Well, so in theory, yes, right? So because if Michael Jordan wanted to give his energy into, you could do that, right? in theory, right? And
my goodness.
But then here's like something more practical that people can probably more envision. So just envision again this cube here, okay? So now I'm having that sit here. If I wanted to take the frequency of moringa, moringa plant, I could take a little piece of a leaf of the moringa plant and put it in the cube. Now I could put a piece of aluminum foil in the cube as well, together with that leaf. Now after about 10-15 minutes, the frequency of the moringa would be in your aluminum foil. And by the way, the cube neutralizes aluminum frequencies. So aluminum is actually a great tool because it's it protects itself against EMF. And it holds the energy very, very long, and the frequency literally forever. And then you would have forever the moringa frequency in this aluminum foil. And what you could do then, you could then take a little piece of that aluminum foil, wrap it around one of these titanium spheres here. Let me pull one out so you can see that better. So just these little spheres. So you wrap it around that and then put it back in your capsule. And now you added the moringa frequency to your capsule. It's as easy as that. And you could also literally build your library of frequencies. And people that do that, we have a lot of naturopathic doctors and alternative healing professionals in Europe that they don't then use aluminum foil, which is kind of the cheapest way to do it, but it works super well. There's no need to do anything else. But people use these aluminum cards often, and then they really build their library with frequency of this healing plant, of frankincense, of moringa, of what have you, right? So your imagination can be endless at that point.
Imagine the implement. I'll let 1 second. I just want to say this here. Imagine the implications for space travel. I mean, this is really sci-fi world. Not having to take and grow all this stuff, we just bring these cards and we feed off the informational fields. Anyways, my mind's
frequency medicine. That's actually a term that 9010 created. Oh, maybe other people have created it too or use it, but they've talked a lot about frequency medicine. And while 9010 does not want to be in the medical field and tries to stay out of it and doesn't want to compete with anybody in the medical field, really, frequency medicine can be taken to a different level. Absolutely.
So, Philip, I can see we're going to have you back here because I have a ton of questions and a lot of things I'd like to talk about. But with our time left, I'm most interested in just how does one get started with this? It seems like we've got the little the capsules. So if one were to order those, and the other question I would have is how much of this is available in the U.S. But if we started with the capsules, would that be considered like an entry level of getting something that's pre-programmed? Then if we go with the original cube, would that be the next level for greater amplification and versatility as far as being able to do our own programming into any substance, including maybe those capsules? And then do you need the original cube in order to interact with the expandable cube that, is going to grow as the technology grows? If
Yes,
you can
absolutely
somehow tie
correct.
all that together.
Yes to all of that. So the entry level
Okay.
products would be a frequency card, or really the capsule. The capsule is probably what really most people get when they get started with 9010, and the water bottle as well, which you can do these things with the capsule, but it's just a much more convenient way of then dealing with it. And also maybe an additional way you can use it in a little bit different ways. So that's really the products that most people get started with. Some people instantly know, oh my God, I mean, I need the cube. I know it already. This is exactly what I need. The cube is not available, and nor is the Freedom Pack. They're not available online anywhere in the world. So it cannot just be purchased because there's a certain level of personal interaction that the 9010 founder always wanted to have with the people that get a cube, because there's some level of responsibility involved in that. But it still can, certainly be purchased, right? So if someone's interested, just reach out. So we actually have a Telegram group, 9010. It's a user group. It's not, facilitated really by 9010. It's just users, English speakers, and if you provide the link, that's a great way for people to get started. And I'm also part of that group. I'm fairly active there. At least I try to be when I'm not traveling. And then people can also reach out to me personally. Other than that, these products can be bought online. There's a shop online where, I have made a lot of efforts that we can move production into the US. And so you can, but you can order those products there, and then get started with this. And then ideally, involve yourself maybe in this Telegram chat group, which has grown quite a bit, and it's it's really by people that want to share, want to learn, and experience. And we've learned so much from that too. I mean, there's this one guy, he experimented a lot with plants and how he can optimize and maximize the plant growth and all of that. And he's had tremendous success with it, just absolutely amazing. And he's done things that we hadn't even thought of. It's because it really, for such a technology, a community is needed, and everyone can contribute. Everyone has different ideas, what they want to do and what they find out, or the tests they've done. And so it's exciting, and to work with so many people and hear what's possible. And I couldn't hear you right now, but I wanted to. You're muted, I think, Mike.
Oh yeah.
You had the question with the cube also. So the original cube is indeed needed in order to get to the Forever Freedom Pack, once you have that, there's really nothing you can buy anymore from 9010, because you're basically then your own 9010. I mean, literally, you can do all of that. You can make all those products for yourself. Certainly, there's, if you wanted to use it commercially, then it would come with a commercial agreement. If you wanted to, sell your water filters that eliminate radioactivity, or if you wanted to sell, whatever you want to make in the cube, then that would be a little different. But for individual use and your family and your close friends, as long as you don't sell the products, you can do all of that yourself. Be your own 9010 factory, if you will.
Yeah, very cool. I'm sharing the 9010 site right now, the US site. For those listening on the podcast, you can go to shop.9010, so that's 9010us.com. Also check the show links, the show note links we'll have all in there. We'll do a blog post on alfavedic.com. Telegram is a great resource. We're big fans of Telegram as well. If you are on Telegram, then you can join us at t.me/Alfa Vedic, or you can, and I'll drop the Telegram link in our Telegram as well for this 9010 group. So very good. Man, we've already come up on over an hour, so we should probably wrap this up because I know, Philip, you've got some time constraints today being on the move. Don't want to get kicked out of your hotel room. But yeah, this has been an amazing talk. Any final words? I think obviously we're gonna need to have you back on. I'd love to also do a little stint on our Patreon next time. For those listening, if you do want to support Alfa Vedic, you can join our co-op on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Alfa Vedic. We're growing that, and we're working on having a lot more exclusive content on there as well. And so maybe Philip can jump on there next time, and we'll do some interesting talks on there, maybe on how to use this product with some stuff that he's discovered. But for me, I'm definitely going to jump in and purchase a power capsule, $165. I mean, just doing what it says it's doing. That's very reasonable price.
And it will basically last forever. I mean, until you forget it somewhere, maybe then it's gone. But the energy, and that's the fascinating part about it also. I mean, hundreds of years, and also the cube, it won't stop working. You can give it to your grandchildren and grandchildren's, and that it's pretty exciting.
Wow, crazy. Any parting words, Bear, for the community and for Philip or?
No, just thanks so much for being here. And I'm gonna go order one for myself, and I'll be phoning you, when you're back home to talk about the next level with the cubes and everything. And who knows? I have grandkids. Maybe we'll all be around a couple hundred years together if we all use this.
Well, I mean, we all, I think we know that, and probably a lot of the audience also, is like, we don't have to die young at all. It's just a concept, and we can live very, very long. And I think we're right at that point where more and more people understand that, and where these things will become possible. So you may actually in 150 years not even give it to your grandchildren, because you may still be around and want it for yourself. But I wanted to say thank you too here. This has been great, and I appreciate what you guys do. And I hadn't known about this this podcast a month ago, and you introduced me to that. It's great. It must be a fantastic audience, and I really like, the topics you cover, and how it's so inclusive and comes from different angles. And I appreciate I was able to join today, and looking forward to chatting in the future.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Philip. Thanks for joining us. And thanks everybody out there in DLive. If you're listening to the podcast, you can join this talk live on dlive.tv/Alfa Vedic every Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's great. You can throw out questions to the guests or to ourselves, and we're trying to build a community on there. So dlive.tv/Alfa Vedic is how we stream this. Of course, this will also premiere at YouTube at 5 p.m. every Thursday. So if you're a YouTuber or you watch YouTube, please subscribe, hit the like button, share. That really helps the algorithm, helps us get out to more people. We're trying to still grow on YouTube, of course, even though we are always positioning ourselves on our own, on different technologies. Once again, Telegram group is great. It's where we're most active. You can join us, t.me/Alfa Vedic. And of course, on there we'll share the Telegram group for the 9010. Any other things you want to find out about us, just go to alfavedic.com, join our mailing lists, all that. And we have our new sites about to launch. Lots of fun projects on the way here. And man, it's very rare that I get this excited about something new, and I'm just connecting all the dots right now, and I'm energized, I'm pumped. So Thanks again, Philip. And hey, everybody, thanks. Have a great day. Have a blessed day, and get out there, get out in nature and enjoy your life as much as you can, because that's what's most important. Cheers.